Today this car is extremely popular in the secondary market. At one time, the new Outlander was grabbed very actively. However, over time, questions arise for him. We understand whether the third-generation crossover meets the Mitsubishi motto. Is it reliable? It was a great offer. A handsome man with an almost impeccable Japanese pedigree, with a comfortable suspension, atmospheric engines, a large versatile interior and the makings of an SUV. Given the cost of a new car, they took the Outlanders with a bang. Well, today everything that was collected then poured into the secondary market. Let's try to figure out what you need to be prepared for when buying a third-generation Outlander. There were two engines, a volume of 2.0 and 2.4 liters with a capacity of 145 and 167 horsepower. Japanese aspirated could be considered ideal. Both with a timing chain drive, an audit of which may only be required for 300,000 kilometers. Both agree on the AI-92. There was also a 3-liter V6, which was not officially supplied to us, and it did not allow such fuel tolerances. In addition, he has a timing belt drive, which should be updated every 90,000 kilometers. There are no chronic problems with the motors. And yet there are a couple of unpleasant nuances. Engines hardly know what a major overhaul is. The Japanese do not indulge in components, offering to change the entire units. And the second point, all engines consume noticeably more fuel compared to the ideal figures indicated by the manufacturer. Especially in the city. By the way, in theory, a hybrid version of the PHEV can also be found on the market, but this is exotic, so we will not dwell on it. As for the transmission, the front-wheel drive was exclusively a version with a 2.0 engine, which, to be honest, is rather weak for this car. Mechanical gearboxes were not offered on our market, they were installed only on diesel engines. We also got several CVTs, with which difficulties of a known nature arise. Their declared resource, the entire service life of the car, may turn out to be true only if the owner observes a number of impossible conditions. Do not leave the asphalt, do not tow wounded animals, do not tumble from traffic lights, and generally do not give an unheated car more than 2,500 revolutions per minute. It is best to equip the CVT with an additional cooling radiator, as the manufacturer himself did in 2014, and warm up the CVT in winter before the trip. But even in this case, we, alas, do not guarantee you a run of 150,000 kilometers. So think for yourself. Before buying, there is a way to check the serviceability of the four-wheel drive system maintenance-free clutch. The system is reliable, but it's better to play it safe. Turn on all-wheel drive, lock mode, and then slowly spin in place, turning 360 degrees. A crunch, clang and other extraneous sounds will warn against acquiring such a machine, but you shouldn't be sad. Outlander still has a tangible margin of reliability. If the quality of the paintwork of the Japanese has decreased in recent years, the paint is thin, then the metal will not let you down. And if the part was not restored after an accident, even with chips, corrosion is not terrible for it. Do not look for obvious punctures in the cabin here either. Its main drawback is soundproofing. But if the previous owner, as many did, carried out the appropriate additional procedures, then you will not hear either the wheels or the motor. Speaking of electrical equipment, it is worth noting 2 points. Firstly, the blowing of the windows is rather weak, which many complain about. And secondly, ADAX was buggy on early models, a small but important box called the Electronic Total Automobile Control System. The symptoms were different, either the dipped beam would turn on spontaneously, or the radiator fan. Later, the box was improved, and no other chronic misunderstandings were noticed anymore. When buying a car, experts recommend checking the steering for knocks. They happen, but for the most part, it used to be limited to tightening and adjusting gaps and eliminating excess play. Someone, however, got a new steering shaft under warranty. All is well with the suspension. The most frequent replacement, as elsewhere, is the front stabilizer struts, 40,000 kilometers. Otherwise, parts are often worked out for 100,000 kilometers. In the capital, they complain about rubber parts that do not like salts and reagents. But in the regions these problems are much less. Summing up, it is worth recognizing that in the secondary market the Outlander should be taken very carefully. First of all, look at the condition of the variator. We consider an all-wheel drive car with a 2.4-liter engine to be the best option. Among the trifling troubles with engines, a leaking radiator of the cooling system can be distinguished. This defect is often eliminated under warranty. It happens that you can hear the squeak of the generator at maximum load. But the main thing is that it is better not to delay the oil change, but to fill in a fresh portion every 10,000 kilometers. The first sign of a variator disease is a metallic knock during acceleration. And at high speeds, the car accelerates badly. In order not to get to replace the variator, 5000, and not Rivnia, you need to check the color of the oil. Greenish means the oil is fresh. Brown indicates that the oil has been changed for a long time, it's time to refresh. The rear shock absorbers serve up to 60,000 km, the front ones a little longer, up to 80,000 km. Other suspension elements are ready to go up to 80 to 100,000 km. The life of brake pads is standard, 30 to 40,000 km, discs, 60 to 70,000 km. When replacing the pads, the caliper guides must be lubricated, otherwise the brakes may wedge over time. Chips and cracks on the windshield occur from even a small pebble. The metal under the chips on the body may begin to oxidize, which, however, does not lead to consequences. And yet, it is better not to delay the restoration of the paintwork. The way to eliminate the glitches of the ADAX electric control unit is simple: remove the fuse of the enraged node and go to the service. Otherwise, the electrical health of the Outlander is in perfect order. Only the radio sensitivity of some elements let us down.